Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to episode number 144 of Mirrorless Minutes. This week's show, well, oh my gosh, I didn't want to do it. It feels so goofy. I forgot we were going to do this, but Jerry reminded me tonight. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about me, which not my favorite thing to do, but like we mentioned on the...
Yeah, right.
Hey, no. I don't. I really don't.
No, I get that. We were
But
selfies. That's something different.
yeah, oh yeah, okay. I will admit, I love to take a selfie of myself. Although, hey, look at 99% of my selfies are my backside. That's my favorite side to put in front of the camera. But we spent some time on the last episode just kind of getting you to know Jerry a little bit more. And I had mentioned that because the listenership is Shelly says, yeah, you hit the live button this week. Yeah. I remember to actually go live.
Can you guys hear me chewing? I'll stop.
I'm talking too loud to hear if you're chewing, but
I'll quit.
we probably could.
I'll save 'em.
So the last show we talked about Jerry, just kind of get to know him a little bit better. And I had mentioned that the video side of our podcast has a relatively small viewership, but the audio version gets, up to 2,000 downloads per episode. So knowing that, there are probably a good number of people that probably don't really know too much about me if they hadn't taken the time to research who I am. And I figure now is probably a good time to talk a little bit about, who I am, a little bit of my background. And then we'll go into the real topic of this show. That's adventuring. And so I guess I'll jump into it. Hi, my name's Jamie. I'm a photographer. So just the quick and dirty background here. I got my first camera, I think in about 2007. Actually, ironically enough, it was the same first digital camera Jerry got. It was the Olympus E500. And I chose the Olympus E500. I'll be the first to admit, not because of anything other than it was on sale at Best Buy and it came with two lenses.
That's the reason why I got it too.
Yeah. Yeah, so like prior to that, the only really photography experience I had was the occasional, like way back in the day, with my mom's Kodak disc camera or a 110, taking a few pictures here or there. So really no background at all. And then I had gotten a free digital camera back when there was an internet service called Earthlink around. And if you signed up with them, they gave you a free like 1 megapixel digital camera. So I really had no idea what I was doing at all. And we were going to go on a family vacation, and it was my oldest son's first time going on a plane, first big trip for him. And I wanted to document it. And I knew that if I was going to do it, I needed to get a quote unquote good camera, like a professional one that you can take the lenses on and off and put zoom lenses on and all that. So I took some income tax refund money and I went to Best Buy, and there we go. Olympus was on sale, a 2-lens kit, and kind of downhill from there. I started taking pictures a lot, again, 2007, Twitter was pretty young, and pre-Instagram 2007. And, Facebook was still pretty much for college kids. So it was pretty much Twitter and Flickr for me on social media. And as I got more and more involved in taking pictures, the more I found I loved it. The more I started sharing on social media, it was just something I have always done. And by doing so, I kind of got noticed by Think Tank Photo back in the day and became good friends with their social media guy, Simon. And I'd gone on my first Scott Kelby photo walk and knew that I love photography, and now I love the social side of it, the meeting up with other people. So having gone on a Kelby walk, I decided I'm going to do one of these too next year. So the next year rolls around, and again, having befriended the social media guy at Think Tank, I reached out to him and I said, hey, Simon, I'm going to host a Scott Kelby photo walk here in Michigan. It'd be cool if Think Tank would send me, like a couple of shirts or something, or some stickers I could hand out to my attendees. What do you think? Is that something you guys would be interested in? And he responded back. He said, I'll do you one better. I'll send you a couple of bags to give away. And he sent nice bags. I think he sent like a shapeshifter backpack, and I don't remember what other bag he sent at the time, probably a retrospective or something. But he sent about $500 worth of camera bags to me. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you. And thank Photo so much for this. I wish I knew someone like you at Olympus. And he said, well, I just so happen to know the president of Olympus Europe. Would you like me to connect you guys? I said, yeah, that would be cool. So he gave me Mark the car's address, and I emailed Mark and I said, hey, Mark, did the introduction. My name's Jamie McDonald, da, 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 da. I'm hosting a photo walk. Would Olympus be interested in maybe shooting over some t-shirts or a hat or something like that I could give away? And Mark was super kind, responded, within a day, and said, hey, Jamie, ironically enough, I know who you are. I follow you on Twitter. I see, you sharing our brand a lot and really appreciate it. But unfortunately, I can't do anything for you. I'm a part of Olympus Europe, but I've taken the liberty of forwarding your information off to my counterpart in the United States. And sure enough, he had done that, and I didn't hear anything. And I wasn't heartbroken because I know, who am I? I'm just some guy in Michigan taking pictures who shares prolifically. And at the time, I really honestly don't think I was anything different of a photographer than the vast majority of people out there. Not like I'm super great now or anything, but I was really not great back then. But I was social and very active. And I was camping with my family. It was a holiday weekend. I think it was actually this upcoming weekend. I think it was Labor Day weekend. And I get a phone call and it says New York on the caller ID. And I thought, I don't know anyone in New York. And I looked over at my wife. I said, are we late on a bill or something? Like, I'm getting a call from New York. So I answered the phone, and it's a gentleman from a PR company that Olympus had used. And he introduced himself. He says, I'm from Mullen. It's the PR company that Olympus North America uses. Do you have a few minutes to talk? And I thought, yeah, I got all the time you want. So, after a brief conversation with him, he told me that he could make me a part of this program that really doesn't exist, but they're going to set something up for me where they would loan me equipment. And they started doing that. He asked me what I would like to borrow, and I told him what gear I have and what I'd like to borrow. And within a week, I had a giant box delivered to my house full of Olympus 4/3 gear. Again, this is, about 2008, 2009, pre-Mirrorless. And so they sent me the gear, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing, and the stipulation was really nothing. It was just keep doing what I'm doing. Just share, tell people about what I'm doing, what gear I'm using, give tips if I want to give tips, things like that. And that relationship went on for about a year. And I was sitting at work one day and got an email from Olympus, actually from the PR agency from Mullen, and said, could you take a conference call later today? And I thought, well, yeah, for sure I could. And responded to the email, accepted the conference call, to add it to my calendar. And when I had added it to the calendar, that's when I noticed that there were some email addresses on there that I had never seen before. I had been dealing strictly with the PR company, and now there were email addresses on there, Jennifer Colucci at Olympus, and a couple of names who I'm totally horrible. I have to go back to the email and figure it out, but they were Japanese names. So people I had no idea who they were. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is big. I either completely did something wrong or this is really great. I'm not sure what it is. And I was worried that I could have done something wrong because leading up to that email for the last week and a half, I had been hounding them for Olympus's 9 to 18 millimeter for the EM5, the original EM5 when it came out. Because I had by then gotten rid of all of my DSLR gear and jumped 100% into Olympus's mirrorless system. And I'd been hounding him daily with emails, hey, I need that lens. There's a hot air balloon festival coming up. I need that lens. You're going to tell him, you're going to let me use it? Yes, no, let me know one way or the other, just daily. I was kind of being a jerk, but I wanted it and the time was running out. So I thought maybe I upset him. So I took off from work a little bit early that day and pulled off into a parking lot and then took the conference call. And Olympus asked me if I wanted to be a part of the Visionary program, asked me if I knew what it was. And by that point, I had for sure known about the program and who the people were that were in it. And my first response was, I think probably some strange sound like, and they said, is that a yes? I said, yes. Yeah, for sure. It's a yes. And then they went on to tell me that they were changing the program a bit and not having it be like it had been historically, which was all these super, super high level people. They wanted to start introducing people that were more social, more relatable, more this level, like, more real. I mean, Jay Dickman and Larry Price and John Isaac, all these guys are just, they're up here,
Legendary.
they're literally, yeah. I mean, they travel the world. They photograph for major publications. They're Pulitzer Prize winners. They are what everyone strives to be. And I was somewhere down in here working my way towards some sort of recognition. And I was excited that, I could be a part of something so new. And so that's the story of how I got into Olympus. I know it's really streamlined. There are a lot of things that went on in between there. But, the gist of it is that I was just me, just social, always engaging people, always there to answer questions, just like I am now. And Olympus, appreciated that, that aspect of me, and since then, I'm happy to say I think my photography has grown. I think I've gotten better since 2007, 2008. I went through my gross HDR phase and all that stuff, and moved beyond that. But since then, I've had working relationships with Think Tank Photo. Initially, I've had some of my work put in their brochures and things like that. It wasn't quite a sponsorship, but we had a really good relationship, where I was trading, imagery for gear and things like that, and just doing a lot of promoting on their side. And then eventually kind of fell in with Vanguard Photo, which seemed to make more sense for me. I love Think Tank Photo. The people there are amazing and their gear is astounding. But Vanguard just made a little more sense for me just because they offered a diverse line of products. They weren't just bags. They have their tripod line, and there's a review over on my YouTube channel if you want to go check that out. And so I do, represent Vanguard now. I've been representing them for a couple of years now, and a short stint with Nisi Filters, actually through their redistributor here in the United States, ICANN. And then that relationship was cool, getting gear from them and stuff like that, and being able to review it and share that with people. And then just the communication was really lacking with that company, and have since moved on and now shooting with H&Y Filters, and I've had a little bit of back and forth with them as well.
How are those filters?
You like they're just as good as the Nisi filters. Their holding system, for mounting the filters is better, I think. Yeah, definitely, especially the one for the 7 to 14 on Olympus. That is just the coolest holder ever. And then the H&Y filters have a magnetic frame that goes on them. I just encourage people to check them out if you're interested in filters. The magnetic frame allows you to, you put your first filter in and lock it into place, and then all your subsequent filters that you add to it literally just magnetically attach one on top of the other.
That's cool.
It's super cool. It makes using filters easier. I mean, using filters is always kind of a slow process. So, that's like my sponsorship history. And during all of those events, in the middle of it all, I was starting to do a little bit more with YouTube and trying to produce little videos and things like that, just dabbling in that. And I started this really short-lived series, I think probably just a couple of videos. I was calling them Mirrorless Minute. I was trying to make 1 minute long videos. And after 2 of them, I realized I can't tell you anything in 1 minute. I can barely tell you my name in a minute. I love to talk so much. So realizing that I wasn't going to be able to do that, but always listening to podcasts throughout my whole photographic journey, realized I want to do that. I love to talk. I like to share information, share experiences. So I'd been kicking around in my brain that I wanted to do a podcast, and I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't want to do it alone. I mean, I could talk all day by myself, but it's fun to share someone else's experiences, and had another Scott Calby photo walk. And to this photo walk, Mike Baining was coming, and it was going to be the first time I met Mike. And Olympus was here. Jennifer Colucci from Olympus flew in for the photo walk. It was a huge photo walk. I think we had like 60 or 70 people at it. It was giant. And sitting down with Mike, meeting him for the first time, I just kind of pitched the idea to him. Then I said, "Hey, what do you think about doing a podcast?" So
was Mike already a visionary at that time?
No. That actually, it's funny that that photo walk opened the door to the visionary program for Mike. Jennifer was here from Olympus and got to meet Mike, one-on-one and talk with him. And Mike he was like me, super active on social media, although he had this extra added benefit to him, a couple actually, three actually, now that I think about it. So one, he was a Nikon switcher. He had left Nikon, he had left full frame, DSLRs, and jumped 100% into Olympus cameras. So that was cool. And I know Olympus loved that. Everybody loves the story of somebody changing everything they're doing to gravitate to something new. So I know that they loved that about him. The dude travels nonstop. This year is different, obviously, because of COVID, but leading up to this year, Mike, at least 1 week out of every month minimum, he's in another state. So the variety of images that Mike captured was amazing. Right. And then he shoots street photography. There was nobody in the program that was really doing that stuff. The closest might have been, Jay Dickman and Larry Price when they're traveling. Right. Probably more so Larry than Jay, but still. So that was my journey to getting to this seat right here. And in the interim, in between all of that stuff, I had started teaching workshops. Had been a presenter out of Chicago for 3 years. I think I did 3 years out of Chicago. Workshops all over the country, and running this podcast. So that's me in a nutshell. It's a big nut. I'm kind of big nut, but that's my story. If anybody has any questions ever, always feel free to reach out. If you've got questions about me or how I got here, or if you're looking for advice on taking a similar path. I think that I probably have a lot of information to share I don't really talk about publicly. And it's probably something that maybe I'll write a big blog post about my journey at some point with all the juicy details in it. But until then, Mirrorless Minutes.
There you go.
So there it is, Jerry. I'm going to take a breath and a drink. Why don't you tell us what you've been up to?
I've been shooting a little bit this last week and a half. Not as much as normal. I got issues going on, some personal stuff. But I shot a little bit this week. I got some pictures to share.
Good deal.
Ready to see them?
Nice. We can jump into the image share right now if you want, and get that ball rolling, because I know we have another subject to cover that ties into some of the images that we'll share tonight.
Right.
And there we go. I can pull you up now.
All right. You should be able to see that, correct?
Yes. The black kittens in a coal mine on a moonless night in January. It's just black, whatever it is.
What? Here we go again. I think it's just run slow, man.
So we're going to start a GoFundMe so Jerry can get a faster computer.
Yeah, what the hell, dude?
It does look a little slow.
It's up on mine.
Is it?
Yeah.
It just does not show up on this side. I can see your cursor moving, and that's it. I don't know if you're...
So you don't even see my Lightroom, do you?
Mm-mm.
I need to find a better app to do this with, dude.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay, so chat room, I've got a question for you guys. Do you have any sort of a gallery or image preview program for Windows? So on the Mac, we use Preview. And
Jerry can stop struggling over here.
So Bob is telling you to share the screen and not the app. So share your whole screen and then pull Lightroom up in the front so you don't have your browser in front.
How's that?
You took your screen sharing down. You got to go back to share screen again.
What?
Remember, guys, Jerry's still pretty new to this.
Yo, what'd you say before the show, too? We need to get you to learn how to share.
All right. So now just shrink your... Yep. There we go. Now we're cooking. Booyah! We did it.
There we go. Thanks, Bob. Glad you're here every week, man.
Jerry's going to buy you a beer the next time you're on the west side of the state, Bob.
There we go. All right. This is the first day I went out with the EM1 Mark III.
Okay. So hold on. Before you go any further. New camera for you.
Yep. Well, I had to, yeah. I mean,
the Mark II before, right?
Yeah, I had the Mark II before. I itching to get out and check that image stabilization.
Yeah.
So I just walked around downtown and golden hour,
Mhm.
trying to get shadows. You know, the shadows are
Yep.
long at that time of day. So
So talk a little bit about how you process to get this look. I know a way to do this. I just want to know what your way to do, and people watching might kind of dig that vibe and want to
this is
kind of emulate it.
basically just all I'm really doing is putting a radio filter on this and just darken the, you know, bringing out the center of the photo,
Hmm.
darken down everything else a little bit. That's
So
it.
so in Lightroom, you're not doing like an S curve to give it a matte look.
Um,
Come on, Jerry, give us all the secrets.
there. I'm trying to think. No, I don't think this.
No,
This one might have one. I think this is one of my presets.
it looks like a matte look.
It probably is. There's probably a little S curve on there.
He's trying to hoard these secrets. Don't let him do it, folks.
But I think most of it, what you're seeing is the radio filter.
Yeah, for sure. So for people who don't know or use it in Lightroom, oh my gosh, I'm not even going to try to describe where it is. It's near the adjustment brush tool. It looks like a circle. So that radial tool is fun for, I would say it's much better way to vignette your image than
Yep.
using the vignette tool in the sidebar. Way better is because you can move around the center of your, quote unquote vignette. And then you've got a lot more creative freedom with it because you can do more than just exposure with the radial filter too. You can start saturating and desaturating and things like that. It
And
makes a cool look.
You can also invert it.
Yes.
So I use it. I use it a lot when I do portraits. I invert it
Mhm.
to brighten up the
The
subject.
subject.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if I want just the face a little brighter or half the body, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It
For sure.
depends on the image.
Mhm.
All right. Next one.
I like that.
Church downtown. Same thing. This one is one of my presets. It's got an S curve on it for sure.
And it's got a little bit of a teal and orange vibe.
Yep. I color calibration. I think
Nice.
I bumped all three colors up to about 40%.
Okay.
And that way it's not too strong, but you can still tell there's a little bit of color pop to it.
Yeah, it's a richer, deeper color.
Yeah. So this is just St. Mary's Church downtown Muskegon. Walking down a sidewalk, and I looked up and I saw the cross, and I was like, yo, that's a pretty decent frame right there with the trees on one side and building
Nice.
on the other. So
And for those people that are going to be just listening to this, there will be a link to the gallery in the show description. So in whatever podcasting app you're using, you can just tap on that and it'll take you to our Facebook page so you can see these images.
Kayla, this is also shot with the EM1 Mark III. So today I had to go out and test that weather sealing and go get in the water with it.
Nice.
So this was one of the shots before we got in the water. I just like the way she was just sitting there looking. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not, how would you say it? Like staged. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she looks like she's watching you try to figure out how to do a screen share.
Right. Right, for sure. But you know what I mean? I've been doing a lot more of this lately, man. Like like hair all over the face, and you know what I mean, just different things that's out of the ordinary, you know?
Yeah.
So and this is actually probably my favorite image from the shoot. So I mean, she's just sitting there looking at me like, "Come on, dude, what the hell you doing? I ain't got all day."
Yeah, Bob thinks I can give you some tips on shooting around water. Jerry's shooting above water, Bob.
Right, there you go.
Thank you.
Grom picture is the one I was telling you about. So I bought a Grom this summer.
So for people who don't know, that is basically like a little crotch rocket kind of, little motorcycle.
Yep. Between a sport bike and a dirt bike, probably. Best way to put it.
Jerry's been hounding me to get one.
It's street legal. It does 65, maybe 70 if I change the sprocket in the front and different exhaust. But it definitely moves for as little as it is. So what I've been doing is one of the reasons I bought this thing was just to scoot around town and take photos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can go in places that I can walk pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can't get a car. And I sling my camera. I got my camera on my Peak Design strap and throw it over my shoulder, and I ride around with it hanging off me, and I go
Nice.
take pictures.
Nice.
So this is just an old train track that they converted, where the actual rails are gone now.
Hmm.
Most of it got turned into a bike trail.
Oh, cool.
So this is a little section of it that's left that's not a bike trail over the
What
highway.
is that going over? Do I go under that when I'm passing through
Yep.
Muskegon?
Yep.
Okay.
It's just an old train overpass.
Hmm.
And
Looks
just
like a
rode
fun
up
spot
there
to
and
shoot.
took a photo with the Grom.
Nice. So what? So that's the EM1 Mark III again.
EM1 Mark III. Yep.
And then you pretty much are like a 12 to 40 guy on
yeah,
that.
Yeah. That lens
Yeah.
lives on there. Yeah. I'm thinking about the 12 to 100. I don't know, man.
You'll
I
never
think, I,
put
think
it
I
down.
might do it. I think I might do it.
You'll never put that lens down.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. I think I might do it. What do we got here? Oh, you know what this is.
Yeah.
You know what this is. So we went out. When was that?
Last Friday.
So I get a phone call from Jamie.
Hold on. Don't finish that. Answer this. Answer this question. So Steve wants to know how we stay so motivated to get out and shoot.
I just love shooting, man. If I'm not shooting, I'm not in a good mood.
Yeah, I get depressed.
I do. I get angry. Like I need things to edit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I spend just as much time editing as I do shooting.
Yeah.
Just learning new things, trying new things. So, yeah. I mean, I like shooting, man. I shoot. I'll take my camera into work.
Yeah.
Where I'm not supposed to have a camera, and I'll walk around and take pictures of people at work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that Steve, here's one way to increase the amount that you're shooting. Don't leave home without your camera.
Right.
Ever. Always take it. I mean, it's really not that big of an inconvenience to throw one lens on the camera and just throw it in the car with you everywhere you go. I mean, even if you're going to the grocery store,
Right.
I mean, you never know what you're going to see. And the big thing, I think, is so the motivation, I think Jerry and I both are on the same page with. It's just, it's who we are.
It's the passion.
Yeah. I mean, we're not the same person if we're not getting out to shoot. And then, so the image that Jerry's sharing tonight is a perfect example of what it takes to create. And I tell this in almost every presentation I give. I at least mention this. You cannot create without giving something up of yourself.
Yep.
So these photos that Jerry's about ready to share, I gave up convenience and comfort by jumping up at the very last moment at the end of my workday, throwing gear in my truck and driving over 2 hours at the potential chance to get photos.
Right.
You just have to be willing to sacrifice time, sacrifice comfort, sacrifice a meal, sacrifice
Stuff you got going on at home, and
yes,
and not getting talked to for a couple of days because you're never home. And
yep. So
Yeah,
I mean, and the motivation, in all honesty, I mean, I'm gonna stop talking now. I'll let Jerry do this, but look at Jerry's picture. That's my motivation. My motivation is those moments right there.
Right.
That's what I'm motivated for. Sorry, go ahead, Jerry. I get going. I can't stop, man.
Hey, it's all good, man. So let me see, where was I? All right, so I get a phone call from Jamie. I'm headed to the lakeshore. I got your tripod. There's a storm coming. If you want to come get your tripod, I'll be at the lake. And then Jamie didn't know that I just got done watching his video and I saw him talking about coming to the lake, and I was like, this motherfucker didn't even call me. So as soon as he called, I picked up the phone. I'm like, dude, you lucky I called, or you called. I was about to cuss you out for not calling me, dude. Anyway, we get out to the lake, and I get out. By the time Jamie beat me there for probably by 20 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
And I get out there, and the sunset was banging, man. I was like, holy cow. I walked out, and it was just orange everywhere.
Yep.
And then that slowly died down. That lasted for a long time.
It did. It really did.
Yeah. And then the storm came in, lightning and the wind, little bit of wind, little bit of rain. The rain wasn't horrible.
Mm-mm.
we did have to wipe our lenses a few times, but
Yeah.
and then we just sat out there and captured lightning.
Yep. Yeah, Jason Helmer in the chat room, he was out there that night. He was on the other side of the channel that you can see in the left-hand side of Jerry's frame. He was on the beach on the other side.
Yep, him, Bill Reek. Yep. And then we met somebody new that day. What was that kid's name? Travis?
Yes, and I'm horrible with names, so I'm just going to say yes, assuming his name was Travis.
Right. Yeah. All right. And then same thing here, same night.
Yep.
Just live composite shot. I think this is probably 8-9 minute shot, somewhere around there. It's actually 3 separate lightning bolts was captured in this shot. Yeah, and it's just a live composite. It turned out pretty good, I think.
Oh yeah, you gotta love live composite, man.
Oh yeah, I do for sure.
There's nothing like it.
And then Jessica. These are shot with the Sony.
And then on the Sony, you shoot with the Tamron 28-75. Is that kind of your go-to on
it's
Sony?
pretty much 12 to 40, 20, 24 to 70. It's all pretty much the same range.
Yep.
My go-to lens, man. You can do everything with it. You can shoot landscape. You can shoot portraits. Why not? Why not bang it out? You know.
Yep.
This is off-camera flash. And here's one of the other things too. This is high-speed sync.
Yeah.
I think it's only about 320th.
Oh, barely high-speed sync.
Oh yeah,
Just beyond what you could normally do.
Right, exactly, because I'm not a big fan of having your background be all black. You know what I mean?
Jerry, are you gonna crap on my photos I share here in a minute?
Yeah, hey, that's just not my thing, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I like people like. So here's the thing, like you take your models to all these cool locations, right? And then you make the background black. Hell, just shoot them at home in a freaking driveway then. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're not gonna show where you're at,
Yep.
why blow the background out? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
And then, like this here, like you can see all the way down the street.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. It's funny, it's everybody's so hung up on no background, blowing the background completely out, of focus. And sometimes in this case, 150,000% leading lines all the way for the win in this shot.
And I think this was shot at like f4. You know, I could have stopped down all the way to 2.8, but I want to show some of that background. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All that black and tan in that building goes with her, matches her shirt and her skin and her hair, and the cement matches her boots, and I wanted to show all that. So.
Yep.
And I believe that's it for my images. Oh. Jesus Christ, dude. I got this microphone sitting right here. I'm reaching around it. Let me stop sharing, man. God.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, so we got Ryan Fisher in here from the Lehigh Valley over there in PA next to the mothership of Olympus. And let's see what else we got here. Shelly agrees editing is her favorite.
For sure.
It's definitely fun.
Shelly's good too, man. She does some good stuff.
Fire. Let's see what else. And Bob giving a shout out to Levi Sim. Yes, Levi is definitely an ace at the environmental portraiture. Oh, and Bob's got another comment. GoFundMe page for Jerry's lessons on how to use a computer. No comment. So I'm going to start sharing some of my photos. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So,
I'm so quick at this.
Yeah, I've got some experience. Man, what's weird is I don't know how this comes through on your side, but the exposure looks really weird looking on my display for the screen share. But anyways, so again, kind of dabbling more in shooting people lately, and did a senior shoot. Then ended up being like 2 senior shoots. But this is just, again, me getting my feet wet with this and trying to learn more. There's no off-camera lighting for this. This was all just natural lighting, man. And I can't tell how it looks on your guys' side. I've got to brighten my monitor up. Okay. The color looks really faded. But anyway, so just, out shooting these in and around the Eaton Rapids area. Nothing special about how this was shot. As far as editing goes, though, I like to go in, and it's kind of what Jerry's talking about with using the radial filter or radial tool in Lightroom, except I used an adjustment brush on this one, and I darkened and saturated the background up behind her. It was already out of focus. This part of the shoot was shot with the Sony A7 III, and this, I think, is the Viltrox 8518 shooting this. Let's see. The next image that I've got to share, again, same shoot. This is, again, natural light. Just the way that the time of day worked out, I didn't feel like I needed to work with flash on this one. Straight out of the camera shot, and this was shot with the EM1X and I think the 25mm f1.2, and this one is probably at like 1.4. Again, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm guessing. I know I wasn't wide open, because even on micro four thirds at 1.2, your area of focus is going to be narrow enough to where you run the potential of not getting the eyes sharp. So I know I stopped down. It's funny to say stopped down to 1.4, but that's what I did on this.
Oh, that's cool, man.
So the next shot, this was with off-camera lighting. So the sun is behind her. That's how I got the hair light or the rim light off of her. So this is like the second half of the senior session. They came out for another day, another shoot, and she wanted more country stuff. Not your typical senior photos, I don't think, unless I'm just getting old, and I just don't remember senior pictures looking like this when I was a kid. But this is what they wanted, a more country vibe to this. And all the rest of these are going to be all, again, EM1X shots. So this is the EM1X with the 45-1.2. And this is high-speed sync. And the sun is pretty kind of getting, a little bit lower in the sky, but still high enough up to where it's above her head. So my high-speed sync was fast because I wanted the shallow depth of field. So I stopped down to 1.4. And I think that my my shutter speed was at like 1/3200th of a second, in order to keep the background from being completely overexposed and still maintaining shallow depth of field. I could have thrown on like an ND filter and kind of mitigated some of that, but I have never used ND filters with people before, and I didn't want to try to practice that on a paying client. So I just opted for high-speed sync, and the light I'm using is the Godox 8200, and I have the trigger for that, obviously, for Olympus, so that's how I was able to do the high-speed sync with that. Same thing again with this one, 45-1.2, high-speed sync. The light is off-camera right and, kind of lower to the ground. It's not like super high over her, and it's funny because the shadow of her is coming towards the camera. You can tell that that's where the sun is at, but still being able to fill again on the front side is, one of those things that I'm kind of working my way through and learning my way as I go with that. Again, high speed sync, again, probably at, 1/3200th of a second. And then the last one, I think this is a little bit more along the lines of what Jerry's talking about getting a really dark background. She wanted that dark look. I had done the previous shoot where I had the background a little bit darker, and she really wanted that dark look. So again, I was just, so Jeff is asking if everything just went out of focus. I have no idea what you guys see on your side. But again, this was the same thing. Olympus EM1X, this is the 25-1.2. I'm a little bit closer. I'm in the water actually to shoot this. And again, high-speed sync to make the background really dark.
Great location, man.
That's fun. It's right here in my town too, man.
Really?
Right in my town. Yep.
Right behind the
right by that factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we
Darbs, whatever that place is called.
Yep, right across from Darbs. Yep. So, and this is kind of my spin on that night out with Jerry. This is where this is my home, my comfort place. I love this. I was out there talking a million miles a minute to this kid that was like attached to my hip the entire night. And I was just
Right.
excited. He was excited. And every time the lightning would flash, he'd run to one of my cameras and go, "Oh, dude, look what you got. Look what you got." And I'd run over and look. And then I'd go back to the other camera. I had 2 cameras set up this night. Both of them were EM1Xs. This one is shot with the 12-100. And that's up on a taller tripod, my VO, the new VO 3 Plus that I did the review for the other day. Live composite. So I'm stopped down a little bit. This is the 12-100 f4, and I think I'm at like f8 on this. And I've been playing around.
100?
Yeah, 12-100, probably at 12 millimeter. And or no, actually that wouldn't be 12 millimeter. I'm zoomed in a little bit to encompass a little less of the foreground there, but f8 live composite, ISO 200, and I think my base exposure on this one is probably 30 seconds. I think is the longest I went for my base exposures was 30 seconds, and we were getting enough light from the lightning to where I wasn't worried about things being able to expose like the boardwalk and stuff like that. You run the exposure long enough and the light spills from the catwalk over onto the pier that we were on and illuminates that well. Again, I don't know how well this stuff shows through in the screen share, and there's a good chunk of it cut off in the bottom because of the little banner that we've got on the bottom of the screen here. I can just take that off and put this up at the top so you can see more foreground. But anyway, so again, 30 seconds, f8, ISO 200 live composite with the 12-100. And the next shot is that sunset that Jerry was talking about. And normally I'm not a fan of doing live composite with clouds. I just don't care for that look. I like them to look smoother and a little less stuttery. Right. But I ran one anyways on this shot, and man, I fell in love with it. I have like 3 of them. This is a longer exposure. This is probably about like 10 or 12 minutes. That last exposure was probably like 5 or 6 minutes. This one's a little bit longer, maybe like 10 minutes of that sunset. And just the colors were just ridiculous. I mean, Jerry and Jason Helmer in the chat will attest to that it was just ludicrous, the amount of color in the sky. So this is with the EM1X and the other camera that I had set up, and that had the 12-45 on it. Let me get to the next one. So the next one, again, this is with that other EM1X with the 12-45 f4 on it, and it's sitting on Vanguard has this little tiny tabletop tripod called the Vesta. So it was sitting on the Vesta, and the lens hood is probably 4 inches from the ground in this shot. And I had a lot of shots that I tried using that setup like that were just a wash, because when we would get a little bit of rain, it would hit the pier and kick up water droplets onto the lens. So I had a lot of them with water on the front of the lens, but this is one that didn't. And again, so this is a 12-45 and probably again around f8. I'm always afraid of lightning being so bright that it washes everything completely out. So I tend to stop down a little bit to like f8 or something around there. And this one probably ran, this would just be a guess, I'm going to say for at least 10 minutes, I'm sure. I remember facing the end of the pier for a very long time waiting for lightning to happen. And then the last one is pretty much recognizable because Jerry had about the same scene that I did in this as well. EM1X, 12-100. Not stopped down all the way to f8 yet because we still have a lot of light over on the right. I was able to do f4, so wide open on that lens, and the base exposure a lot shorter than the 30 seconds. So this probably would have been like a 1 second base exposure. And this ran for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, maybe something along those lines. It was, oh man, it was an incredible night. It was a lot of fun. And it's funny, you know, I mean, Jason Helmer, you know, saying crazy and killer. And it was a wild, fun night, you know, and, you know, to go back to Steve's, you know, question earlier about the motivation, and that's the motivation is those moments. And you don't know if you're going to get those moments if you don't make that sacrifice and just go. Right. I've got another friend that I've known for a long time in photography, and he'll message me every once in a while, whether it's about Northern Lights or about a storm or something like that. And he'll message, hey, should I go? And my answer is always, you should never not go.
Right.
You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, you might go. I mean, hell, we were just talking about it on the last show about when we met. I mean, we were there
Right.
to get
I
the Milky Way.
Today if I just didn't go. You know
right.
What I mean?
Perfect. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And there's going to be a lot of times you go and you're not going to get nothing. But those times when you do, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is why I did it. This is why I did it. So I'm assuming that Adam's just joking when he said, how did you get that lightning? I think you know, Adam. Yeah. So we've been running for about 45 minutes. If you got anything else you want to talk about, Jerry,
I thought we were going to, when we're going to talk about the adventure.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. Oh my gosh. Look at me trying to cut this show short. So Jerry and I have been talking for 3 years about going somewhere.
Right.
We want to go somewhere.
When we got back from San Fran.
Yeah. So a couple years ago, Jerry got back from the experiential in San Francisco that we were all at, and actually Adam in the chat was there as well for that. And we got back from that experience, and Jerry was like, dude, I want to do this again. Let's go somewhere. And you know how life is. Sometimes things just don't work out, whatever. Right. But Jerry and I are trying to plan at least a 2 or 3 day trip, somewhere. Right. I'll tell you what, I would like for people in the chat or people that are listening to this podcast to get a hold of us and offer suggestions within driving distance of Michigan, or a short flight. I don't know if we're going to jump on planes with all the stuff going on or not, but I know we're potentially looking at, the abandoned trolley cars in Pennsylvania, or Hocking Hills in Ohio, or maybe urbexing in Pittsburgh. I don't know.
Right.
But if we do
figure out what I got going on, we'll figure out what's going to happen with that. So.
Yep. So we're just kind of open to ideas, and if anybody wants to meet up during any of this and go shoot for an afternoon or whatever, we're always open to that too. It's always fun to just connect with people that we don't get to see in the real world.
The good pizza is tacos.
Yeah, for sure. So Bob says Chicago. I've been to Chicago so many times. Yeah. I am over Chicago, at least during COVID. I wouldn't mind going back, but not so much right now, I don't think.
Right.
I'd like to stick a little more off the beaten path if possible. I was trying to get Jerry out west to like Utah or Montana or something like that, but that might have to wait for a later date. So in the meantime, we're open.
Yep.
So Adam, I honestly, dude, I don't know if you're being serious when you ask if I've done live ND on clouds.
It does.
It should work a little bit. I would probably prefer live.
I haven't tried it. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't use live ND a whole lot, just because it's not the same look as a filter. You can see the compositing or the stacking, so it's not quite as smooth. At least with water, it's not quite the same. You can get some great looks from it. I'm not saying it's not a good alternative, but I have filters, so I tend to throw a filter on if I want to go for that.
I gotta test it out, or I'll be a hypocrite, because that's the one thing I bitched about when the EM1Xs came out and nobody was showing off the live or the ND filter stuff.
Bob's got a good point. Dang it, Bob. Bob's always got good points. So he says Chicago's a fun place when you don't have 40 people following you around. I agree. The last time I went to Chicago, it was not for Out of Chicago, and I had a blast. It was my most favorite time in Chicago ever. I mean, teaching it out of Chicago was great, and having 40 people follow you around is fun, but being free to do whatever you want is funner.
Anybody in here know anything about the Finger Lakes?
Yeah, so I know that Ted Pembroke.
That's not super far, right? What is that? 8 hours? 7 hours? 7 hours, right?
Really couldn't. I have no idea. I think it's about
UP.
Yeah, about 8 or 9 hour drive. So anybody in the Finger Lakes district, Ted Pembroke, if you're listening, message us and let us know what's up in your neck of New York. Maybe we'll head up that way. But until then, we're out of here for 2 weeks until the next episode. Right. And if you guys have suggestions on where are you going to send Jerry and I, and are you going to meet us there, or are you going to send us to some scary place and just send us on our own? I don't know. Right. So Bob says Bob really wants us to go to Chicago. He really wants us to go to Chicago.
What maybe we do in Chicago, Bob? Where are we going?
And we're gonna hook up with Manny Ortiz.
Right, that's right. Hell yeah, I'll go shoot with Manny. He's got all the models, man.
Yeah, he's got his wife.
There you go. That's all you need.
But all right, so you guys, we're gonna head out of here. Thanks for watching this week, and again, for everybody that's listening to this, just look in the show description, and there should be a link to our Facebook page, and there is an album that's going to be titled episode number 144. Oh, yeah. So Steve's got a good point. Oh, man, we're almost out of here. And Steve's got to bring up a great point. You can't go through Canada at this point in time, Jerry. So we're going to tack on.
You'd have to
tack on a few hours.
But I think I Google mapped it. And I think it was like 7 hours, I think.
Yeah.
Going around the lake.
Going around?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I don't know, folks.
Because I'm always Google mapping something. So.
Yeah. Well, we got to figure it out because Jerry and I are going to do this soon.
That's right. Adam's going with us unless he's got papers to correct or something.
But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. And again, swing over to the Facebook group. Probably within the next half hour, I should have all those images put in a new album for you guys to check out. You guys take care. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See ya.